Good afternoon, passengers.
All right, guys, we are back with the SKYCAST, and with episode one, I'm kind of excited. We've been holding off a little bit. We haven't been able to push out much content throughout the month of August, and that's mainly because I've been going through, some mental stuff that I had to take care of personally. But I got Connor here today. We are going to be hitting it hard with Heat Check Game. Now, Connor, we are at the end of the season. We wasn't able to breach the playoffs. Obviously, the performance of the ticket tournament, which we will go over later. But like, based off of how this Heat Check Gaming team went through this season compared to how they did last season, with I believe it was a 5-11 record, if I'm not mistaken. But I can actually double check on that. But with their performance being not as, to what their standards is last season, and then being able to come back with the addition of Killy pushing forward, how do you see that was a big change up?
Yeah, I mean, every team goes through their ups and downs. It's just what happens. It's about chemistry. It's about the continuity. You want your team to be successful, right? And sometimes it's a business decision to acquire players that make you better. And to your point, I think Killy was a great addition, gave him better scoring, better leadership. And just have a little bit of boost of energy. May not have led to a playoffs roster spot at the end of the day, but I think they're on the right path. They may not have made the success, they may not have gotten the results they wanted, but it's like in regular NBA, you need to acquire their certain pieces throughout the season, and then the offseason, get whoever they can, make this team where they need to be back in these playoffs, because we all know Heat Check Gaming deserves to be back in the playoffs.
Yes, sir. And like the biggest thing that I've seen that helped with this Heat Check Gaming team reforming this season was the huge help with staff. Like, if you've seen through how his course from where we last left off from week 4, from week 5, he was able to put up 44 points. That's an insane amount of points to be able to put up within that day. He was able to lock in and help his team. And then even when if you're thinking about how he was able to generate that type of performance going into the term, which is the other mid-seasonal tournament, he was, from what I was told off in the media availability that we have with the players, is that he was even limited to builds, because certain in those tournaments you can be able to ban out certain builds for them to go in, it's like a ban and protect system.
Right.
So for them going into that the turn tournament, from what I picked up in that meeting, is that Sav wasn't able to use any of the builds that he was originally using prior to the turn. He got banned out, which could have affected most of his gameplay throughout the turn as well. So he was able to really regain, because what we were speaking on the turn during that meeting, he was really, he was answering questions more concerning the adversity he was experiencing because of the fact that he couldn't play the builds that he was on.
No, absolutely. I mean, your build is the number one way that you make yourself unique as both a player and an individual. And as someone who has played 2K in the past, I completely understand when they throw you into a new position, a new role, you got to kind of adapt to it, and it takes time, and may not be easy, but you have to overcome that adversity. And clearly, after looking at all these statistics for the last couple of weeks that we didn't get to cover, Bobby, this man was going off and being a lead scorer for a majority of these games. And that's impressive for not being in your comfort zone. Dropping 24, dropping 19, and dropping 26 and 40. Clearly, it affected him, but he was putting up numbers, so I can't deny that.
Yeah, and that's something for me actually digging more off into the league. I'm just thinking that these guys are going in and just having to play in their comfort level, but now knowing a little bit more about the whole bans and what's been actually going on, I can see why it's difficult for some of these players to be able to adapt, because if they're used to a certain build, let's say I'm just going to give an example, guys. They're a two-way shark, and then that build gets banned out and they have to play something completely different that has different badges, different stuff like that. Then of course their gameplay is going to ultimately be changed, because now they have a split second to be able to adjust. And most athletes, especially some of the newer guys that are trying to adjust into a team chemistry and a team rhythm and a team environment for the first time, especially Sav coming in and Killy coming in, these guys are all new with playing at each other. So with them coming in and having to be able to adapt to those type of bands and those type of, being able to adjust, it's already incredible. But for, like you said, he's put up numbers multiple weeks at a time and not knowing if he's going to be able to play on the same build each week.
No, absolutely. I mean, you bring in, like we mentioned earlier, when you have multiple players with multiple different archetypes and shooting forms and all that kind of stuff, it makes for a bit of a twisted scenario because now you have to adapt to what you don't have. And so if they're banning protect system, excuse my language, it just makes it 10 times harder on these players. But that's why they're pros. That's why they're picked up by
Mm-hmm.
EA Gaming. There's a
Mhm.
potential there. And so what we can see from this, Bobby, is not only are they learning how to play this properly, but they can build off that because you don't know about the unpredictable. They could ban something that you've been using for the last 3 days for practice, and all of a sudden you're being thrown into a role. You could be, a shot creating rebounder. All of a sudden you're goes into a lockdown defender. It's like, okay, totally different role, totally different idea, totally different style of play.
Mm-hmm. And like I can say some of the biggest things about this season that we was able to adjust. Now you have the stats pulled up. If you check like towards the end of the season, like the week 8, and then you check like the week 7 and check the week 10 and things like that, and you check and see how many shots that we've taken, like 36 shots. We took, what was it, 46 shots on against the Pistons and made 34. Our field goal percentage is really high for the team. So it's not like we're taking, dumb opportunities. It's just that when we get into it's more of I feel like the experience factor with this team, because we're taking smart shots throughout the course of the season, especially towards the end of it. You can check the stats. Like, we're making most of the shots that we're putting up, but it's also, I feel like we are giving up we're having a little bit more turnovers, and then we're not getting some of the boards. So it's a lot that played out this season. These guys played wonderful. They was able to put together, even in the ticket tournament, they was able to put together a winning series against Toronto, which by far, I gotta watch, and we gotta see some comeback shots with like it was interesting. I really thought like how we played Gen G and we won the first game. We had a lot of momentum, and then it just slipped. I felt like the experience factor, like we mentioned before, kicked in because Gen G, if their branding alone is used to winning. So the guys under Gen G already know, like, that's that kind of mentality. Because I'm not even talking about 2K with Gen G. I'm talking about in other esports. We know Gen G very well. We know how they're used to a winning formula and how they want things to be done. So they already have that veteran staffing, that veteran experience over in that degree, to where I can feel like it can overwhelm a young team.
No, absolutely. I mean, Gen G has been a staple point for esports for the last several years. They dabbed into Call of Duty for the 2019 Black Ops 4 World Championship. Won't talk about their placing, but they made it, which is the most important part.
Yeah.
But I think the one thing that I find interesting about, you're talking about the stats from each week that I'm looking at, they shoot great from the field, which is awesome, but the problem is that they didn't score in quantity that were good enough to win. I'm noticing a 4-point quarter here, I'm using an 11-point quarter, so something looks like to me they start off really good and then they just can't find that mojo. And you go back to your points about experience. It's what happens when you start getting a little stressed out and your style starts not go your way, and the different play calls and all the different zones and schemes. This is all basketball knowledge for all of you out there. It's all about how you overdo your enemy. This is for any esport too. How do you outbeat your enemy in terms of preparation? So clearly they had the skill and the talent, Bobby. The problem is I think their preparation towards the ends of these games looks like they were just not quite up to sync where they needed to be.
Yeah, like you have to think about how young this team is. Like with Deeds being Deeds being there, he's already a veteran. Like even though he's not, you don't see him getting a lot of the game time. He's behind the scenes helping that out from a veteran experience. But you also have Hotshot. Hotshot's another key veteran and the captain of this team. So they do have some veteran experience. But at the same time, you're still thinking, like you said, this team is young. Sav just came over from Lakers gaming this season. Killy just got picked up throughout the course of this season. And then you also talking about some of the newer guys like Gooner that's coming in, and he's new and got drafted in just recently. So you're talking about bringing a lot of new guys trying to form that chemistry in, and then you're going up against guys that are used to having that have been there and have that battle experience. I'm going to give a prime example in Minnesota. Like you see like Bear the Beast and his guys over on that end, they have that experience because they've won a title together. So they you know what I mean? You get where I'm coming from with the experience that this team has right now, is that they just needed more time to mature. But like you said, like it comes in quantities, and some of the quarters are giving lower percentages, and they're getting beat out just by scoring. Whether that's them not taking the effective shots, because in 2K, it's a 3-point game in 2K. Yes, like if people tell you, oh, give up on the two, because the 2-point really doesn't matter if you can have someone who greens lights out on the arc every chance they get. You know what I mean? So it's that could be a different factor. If they wasn't able to execute a lot of their 3-point shots, then you can see why the season ended the way that it did. Because if we're only just getting those 2-point shots in from hot shot pound in the paint, and then we're going up against teams that are used to shooting from the perimeter, we can't beat them defensively on that, and they're continuing to shoot from threes, it's a numbers game at that point.
Absolutely. No, I agree with you. I'll address both of your points. They're very solid, Bobby. I actually like that. Being young is great and all, but you need experts and you need veterans that can humble the younger guys. And to your point, when you acquire all these young guys, you have a clash of egos. Now, I don't think that made it a factor this season, but when you add veteran leadership, you have people that can tell you, they can call you out and say, hey, don't take wild shots, lock down defense, play zone, play man-to-man. Tell the young guys what you need to do right so you can win the game. And even if that means they sacrifice our own statistics for the young guns to get going, we both know about that. We both played esports. We know how that works. You can have that one person going off, and the next game you go off or I go off. People can always get hot. When they get hot, you need to help thrive off that and support that. And to your second point about 2K, absolutely. If I think we both played Pro-Am way back in the day, but you're down by 5 with 10 seconds left to go. I'd rather you take a layup and a dunk, as opposed to selling for a 3 and bricking it. And I know you've never bricked a 3 in your life in 2K, but I'd rather hand you the ball, you dunk it, right? Get an immediate foul, make the biggest guy on the court shoot free throws, so he's probably not going to have a good free throw percentage. Make it a 1-possession game, not a 3-possession. So I like that point you made.
And like, if you look at the last, and I made sure on the docs that we got right here.
Right.
If you see the field goals made and 3 points made and 3 points attempted, if we needed to look at a statistic right now on why the season didn't play in our factors to where we could get off and past the ticket tournament or even secure a seed for playoffs, is because we couldn't shoot the 3-ball. We had games where when we shot the 3-ball effectively, we won. But we had games to where we shot the 3-ball 11 and 28 from the 3. 6 and 17 from the 3, 9 from 18, which is 50%. That's a good one. You know what I mean? But we also had games where we 11 and 22, barely making our 50%, 8 and 20 from the 3-point line by week 10. You know what I mean? And for a game that's heavily built on the 3-point shot, and our team is not able to effectively shoot the 3-ball, that can understand why. Yes, we have a high field goal percentage, but we don't have a high field goal percentage at the 3, and that's where it separates. Because if we're only making the 2s and every other team in the league is making 3s, having high 3-point percentages over us, it doesn't matter. We're gonna end up losing those games unless we play a better defense.
No, absolutely, and I think this saying well as I do. You live or die by the 3. You can hack up 45 threes a game, but if you're only making 12, you're just taking contested shots 90% of the time. And that's not going to win you a ball game. And when you're turning the ball over, that 10-point lead just became now you're down by 25 in the third quarter. So I think to your point, take better quality shots. It is not, unless you have a guy who is known notoriously for shooting threes. I'll use Sav an example. Great shooter. If he's open, shoot. But if you know they're going to double team or they're going to collapse on him, don't take the 3. I'd rather you score 2, and if let's say, let's give an example, Bobby. Let's say you're down by 6, right, with a minute left to go, and you have a wide open, and I'm going to assume they're playing man-to-man. I don't know why they play zone when they're down by 6, but the way you need to do this is make sure your shooters who are open are there, and if they're not, go to the paint. Let the paint get worked out, and if you need to, drive and kick. That's how real-life NBA works. Why I think Steph Curry gets wide open all the time. All I have to do is drive and kick. Trae Young, another example. Teammates drive the paint, they collapse into the middle of the court. All of a sudden, you kick out for 3. It's wide open. So to your point, Bobby, smart plays, smart rotations, and good on transition, and that's how you win ball games.
Yeah, very much so. So, all right, Connor, we basically, reviewed over this season, and we could have, like I said before, if we have one statistic that I felt like was the reason why we couldn't push a little bit further, even though the guys played splendid throughout the season, like even to be able to turn it around and get this close, it was a run. But the main stat I feel like and it just shows is that we wasn't a 3-point team in a 3-point game. It's just like how it is. Like we didn't score enough points. It's not like we shot badly or shot, our field goal percentage was low. We just didn't make enough threes when it counted, and that shows up on the games and losses that we have taken. So, predictions for next season. Who do you like? I know this is something spicy topic, but it's going to come up. Who do you think that, as far as GM, if we had a speculation, who are our protections for this season? Because you have to, it's hard. Like I love all the guys that's on the team, but it's going to get brought up to like who are I don't know how they're going to change up the system, but we're based off of last season we had 3 protections. So if I'm seeing based off of this, in my opinion, I see them still having Hot Shot as a protection, but it's going to be real. Like I'm not too sure what's behind the scenes, but if they're going off of performance, I would say they most likely would try to keep Killy and Sav and build around that for 3 protections. Now, if they're looking to do something similar to like they did this year, then I would say, in all honesty, they might go a route to where they keep Hot Shot, of course, as the team captain, and then keep Deeds for veteran experience 6-man, and then bringing Sav back for a year. And if they do that, that's 3 protections that they can guarantee with more veteran experience, because at that point, Sav will have 2 years under their belt, underneath the GM famous.
No, I like that. That's you've got 2 different scenarios here. I'm gonna kind of
like it can be that's my situation. Like, I see it. They can go young and get Killy and Sav, who are the I would say the top scorers coming into it, and still have Hot Shot leading with that veteran experience and starting fresh. Or if they are looking to like make a veteran squad that kind of push that heat check in season 1, then they can go Hot Shot Deeds and have Sav come back and work with that veteran crew and try to see if they can pick up some dominant people coming into the draft. Like that's my thing. I'm not saying any of the guys on the team is by far not able to come back, but like if you're looking at a standpoint to where this team is looking to push in towards a championship, then you have to think about whether you want to go fresh and risk having another year like this, or try to go veteran. But the only issue about going with the veteran crew is that will they have enough output to be able to outscore some of the high scoring teams like Minnesota, or another one is Washington or Indiana.
Right. No, absolutely. Man, you put me on the spot. So if I was building a team, I'd start with veteran leadership. So I'm going to keep Hot Shot. Now, This is the thing. You need a big guy in the paint, right? You can do all the cleanup dirty work that no one wants to do. I know it. I used to play center in 2K. I did not like grabbing rebounds. I wanted to shoot and I wanted to dunk on people because I wanted to make you look stupid at the end of the day. So I'm keeping Hot Shot. That gives you better experience. That gives me a solid guy in the paint and someone I can rely on. This is where it gets tricky because each one of these guys have a different asset they bring to the team.
Yeah,
and I want to break this as a disclaimer.
I would keep, like I said, if I could keep all 5, mind you, I would keep all 5 and have this team a second season. Because I believe this is a really good team, mind you. So this is only me having limited options. But if I had the chance to be able to recruit every single one on this, I will keep this team for a year or 2 because I feel like that's all they needed. That's all they needed, more experience.
No, absolutely. No. And quick disclaimer, I'm not talking down on any of these players. They're all super talented. They all deserve to be on a 2K League roster. If it's with the Heat, that'd be awesome. But if it's not, they definitely deserve to be in the league.
Yeah, definitely.
The second guy, I'm kind of shocked I'm saying this, but I think we've already reiterated a couple times, is Sav. I like scoring. Scoring wins games. Unfortunately, defense is great, but I think you need that young guy to pair with I think Hot Shot and Sav are a good duo. So you can rely on him. You can rely on someone. If they come collapse on you at the 3-point line, Hot Shot's wide open for a dunk. If they collapse on you in the paint, they triple team you, try to get that rebound, they try to swat you in the blackboard, pop it out for 3. Let Sav do his little handles and shoot a 3. That's what you need. This is where I get tricky because
yeah, it's a little. It gets to the point where there's a lot of talent on this team and a lot of potential. So it's just like I said, if I could select everybody for round 2, where I could be able to select these picks, I will go with everybody on this team because they needed the time to mature. And then you could see how their performance was week in and week out, that they matured each and they learned from each other. They was building. I just felt like if they could have just breached over Gen G and had a spot in the playoffs, they could have made a solid run definitely.
Absolutely. Okay, I'm going to go with my surprise pick. I didn't think I would say this, but I'm going to keep Shifty, and I'll tell you why.
Ooh, okay.
I like defense. I think defense wins championships. That's kind of a weird saying because I just said offense explodes, but yeah, if you can't win a game without stopping the other team. It's whoever wins and has the most points at the end of the day, right? And I like a guy who's not only who's not selfish, so unselfish, but can also pass the rock around so everyone gets involved, but also can lock down defenders. I think Shifty has that ability. So if you think about it in terms of the three, and I think Killy is a fantastic player. Let me get that not wrong. I hope they keep Killy. Killy's the kind of guy I would love to have on my team, not even just for companionship, but chemistry and bring the morale up because he can at any point go off. But I like Shifty's play style. I like how he gets up and down in transition. I really like that kind of player. That's the kind of player I like to play on 2K. So keeping that guy around who can pass the rock, get everybody else involved, and is not selfish, that's the kind of guy you need on a team. So you have a veteran in Hotshot, sharpshooter in Sav, and a two-way player in Shifty.
Okay. I can. Ooh, that's. I can't disagree with the facts that you put on the table right there. It's definitely interesting. Like I gave you my points because of the fact that I felt like either you go brand new with the veteran leadership and see if you can get the chemistry. Like I get where you was coming from with Sav and Hotshot, because the thing that Sav and Hotshot already inputted throughout the course of this season was the pick and roll. The pick and roll play was very, very good. You obviously can see when Sav was playing at his best and he wasn't banded out by builds or anything like that, he was able to put up the consistent scoring. So I respect that pick. Now Shifty, that was a surprise, but I can see it because of the fact of how well, like you said, that defense. And that, like I said, if I could be able to if I was able to pick off 5 again and see if we could do it, yeah, like it would be great. Because like you can see, like right now, like if I point out everyone's key role off in this is that we had a very constructed team. And with a veteran leadership in Deeds and a veteran leadership for Hotshot, adding to what we already had, Shifty coming back as well, being a veteran on this E-Check team, I feel like it only complemented the newer talent that we brought in. And I just felt like we needed a little bit more scoring in the 3-point department, 100%. So like I'm not gonna give you 2 picks. I'll give you one final 3. All right. So like after hearing all the things on the table, one final 3. I will definitely keep Hotshot and Sav, just because of the fact that that's one scoring option that I can rely on, because in 2K settings they have the pick and roll. Either they set up the pick, and normally after a pick you can be able to hit them with a Curry slide, make them look silly, and then you could go that route, which is good if you know how to, because Curry slide is a glitch, I'm telling you. So you can be able to do that, and then that's an open 3. Or you can, depending on what the centers is doing, there's the center as an option down low for the 2 points. You also can see if you have your hash. But the biggest thing that I can say right now, I will definitely like to see Killy, Sav, and Hotshot. And the reason why I say this, even though Deed, that leadership, is that I feel like Killy helped like if you look at some of the stats from week 10 going up, Killy helped Hotshot. Look, like he's second leading scoring in almost every. Killy helped, like all 3 of them was in his scoring that was near the same. Let's talk about if we talk about the we'll go up to what week 8. If you look at it, Killy has 11, Sav has 11, Hotshot has 18, and then you're talking about Killy having 14, Sav having 14, Hotshot having 16. All of these guys are shooting consistently, and I feel like they already have a chemistry going. So it's just like you said, it's about winning. Killy has come in clutch. He's shown it multiple times. He performed beautifully throughout the turn in the midseason tournament. So I feel like giving him and Sav with the Hotshot one more time, and possibly being able to pick up some newer talent and bringing in some veteran pieces throughout for next season, then we might can be able to get to that postseason that we wanted. Because right now the biggest thing is that how I do like having the rest of the guys in. We lost, I feel like, this season because of the lack of 3-point shots that we was able to put up, and we need effective scoring.
Absolutely.
So
I mean, hey, you can't go wrong with any of these roster combinations. Make that very clear.
yeah, no,
There's
it's very
nothing wrong.
very difficult to decide it. Like if we're going off of stats, then what we lacked was points, and who was giving the most 3-point points in this scenario is the backcourt. With Killy and Sav being in the backcourt, we was able to, and when they was both hitting hot, we was able to win consistently because of the fact that with them being a threat in backcourt, gives so many opportunities for hot shot to dominate the paint. Because you can't protect all of them. Yeah, there's some teams who can, but if we have Sav dropping 30 points, and then we have Killy right behind him dropping 23 or 24, then obviously, and hot shot can drop you consistent 19 or 18, we're not going to lose too many games like that. We're not.
Absolutely.
So that's just my little prediction, guys. Like I said, if I have it my way, I'll bring everybody back for round 2 because this team was definitely worth it. But I feel like we went over everything, guys. What we're going to be doing later for Heat Check is that we're going to be keeping up on week by week on their actions during the postseason. Obviously, off season now, excuse me, and see what type of picks that we get up for next season. We're also going to be talking about trying to keep up to date with like the pro-am scene and the amateur scene, because obviously we're going to be looking at seeing what possible scouts and draftees will be probably good for next season to pick up, because we're going to be needing to, get this Heat Check gaming team back off into the finals, because I feel like we can be able to win it. We have some talent, like I said, with all those combinations we have, Connor. We have some here. Only thing we need to do is just add the remaining pieces together, and we make that hurdle, win a chip.
Absolutely, you just need that one or two players to kind of get that kickstart going, get that confidence back up, and Heat Check. Watch out, rest of the 2K League. This team could be something nasty. Don't sleep on Heat Check Gaming. That's what I'll say.
All right, well, guys, that's pretty much all the time we have. We covered practically everything. In the next episode of the SKYCAST, for episode 2, we are going to be heavily covering Energy FC. Now, we haven't hit them in a while, so obviously we got some really new, some juicy details. And, we're going to probably get a live coverage. I'm going to try to get out to Oklahoma City and get some live footage. If not, I will be having some footage of their practice and some B-roll from all that and interviews and stuff of that nature that's been going on with the club. So just stay tuned. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and we'll hit you up later.
Bye.
This is the final boarding call for passengers Erin and Fred Collins, booked on flight 372A to Kansas City.